What is going on, everyone? What's going on? Some of us are still muted, but it's all right.
I get
I think me and Hitch is here, so I guess it's a two-man show.
Hey,
There we go.
oh, oh.
now why did it do that?
Why I did
Must,
that?
Excuse
Am
me
I,
must be
there.
I, I'm, I'm here. I'm here. Okay, I'm here.
it
Yeah,
must be
yeah.
foreshadowing something. We must
You muted me, guys. I could unmute you. I definitely wasn't.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Vance,
Yeah.
you make me.
we must be foreshadowing something. The internet knows. The internet knows.
The algorithm knows.
The algorithm knows kind of what we're getting into tonight. But yeah, welcome back. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Carbonate Bounty BS here. Um, I think out of probably all the episodes, I say post, I guess, I don't know, Acolyte was pretty contentious. I think this might be one of the like hot takes, Star Wars hot takes.
Hot take.
What? Because we're talking about the greatest Star Wars film that's ever been released.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah. Oh boy.
Bro,
Ken,
yeah,
Ken,
Oh.
Ken, is, Ken got his troll on. He's trolling it up.
the funny
Trolling
thing
it
is,
up.
he's not trolling. He's being serious. That's the
I'm-
funny part, bro.
Star
This is the
Wars
best.
is back.
Star
Star
Wars
Wars is
is
back.
back. We finally have a Star Wars film that feels and looks like Star Wars. Thank God.
All right.
All right, so before we dive
Let's-
into this, guys,
this
just
is
to let you know, we'll get some house cleaning done, but just to let you know, guys, this is our Mandalorian and Grogu review. This will be spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie,
I don't know
Go
why
out and see it.
I would
haven't
go out
seen
and see it,
me.
spend your money, or waste your money, however you call it, and go see the movie. And you then can watch it after we are done reviewing it. But before we dive into this very contentious review that has a lot of people within the fandom kind of divided, let's provide DP that you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Make sure that you're going on your favorite nerdcyclopedia.com site and get all your social media apps. We're at X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. YouTube Shorts, we're on there as well. If you're listening to us on podcasts, we are on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Odyssey, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Guess what? We're there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure that you smash that subscribe button and also hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you as well. Make sure that you're hitting that share button so that you're sharing our content to all your favorite friends. Make sure that you're also getting us hitting us back on nerdcyclopedia.com or nerdcyclopedia feedback at gmail.com. And the email is still free. We're still, letting you email us and letting you and for you to let us know everything you should think about
Completely free.
what we talk about. Completely free. We appreciate you.
We're very gracious in that way.
Yes, we are.
I mean, what a for some, what a great day to be a Star Wars fan. It's going to be this will be a fun episode. So I won't do initial reactions because I kind of just want to dive into this whole project. But as we'll let the in our group chat, we'll let the person who really enjoyed this movie lead it off. However, there are a few disclaimers before we get this glaze section, right? We cannot just say like it was visually like, bro, we have to cut out like, let's be honest, let's cut out the normal things. We all know it looked good, right? They spent 168 million, right? So let's cut out it looks good, the soundtrack. Like, please give me why this is in some people's eyes a 9 out of 10, which is like, bro, please tell me.
Or a Ken out of Ken.
Yeah, Ken, you might give it a 10. So can you please elaborate outside of the things that we all know that we're going to see with the budget? Let me know your review of this stupendous film.
So here, I'm assuming that you're pointing all these wonderful, colorful explicatives toward me. So nothing about special effects or the way the film looked.
We know that
From
though.
the
Like,
moment that that it started, it had me hooked. I enjoyed the way the the storyline, the way it started, it did exactly what I wanted. Drop us into the middle of the action and let's just see what happened. So we started with this scene. It was very ambiguous. I pretended like I didn't know anything about these characters, and I think anybody could go see this movie, and that's important to point out. You don't have to know who the Mandalorian is to see this movie. That's important because I think people get caught up in this. Oh, it's a Star Wars film. It's a side story. It's these characters that are new, and okay, so what? Doesn't matter. It's just go see the movie. Go see this movie. It's well presented. The story is good. It has a very concise start, middle, and end. There's no. What I really liked about it is how well it paced. I mean, this film at 2 hours and just a few minutes really ran well. There wasn't any moment that was lacking. There wasn't any section of the film that I thought, man, they could have just cut that out and shortened it to an hour and a half. I think every edit and sequence of the film was there and presented a purpose. There wasn't anything that could be left out. Like I said, you don't need to know who these characters are to enjoy this film. It just is a good story. It has some great acting moments in it. And I'm not the biggest child fan, meaning Grogu. I just never was really on that bandwagon. I'm not sure where it's going. I don't know what the big reveal is going to be with this smarmy little character. But after seeing this story play out in a very fashionable, mature way without any, I mean, they didn't really, it looked like the film played like it was not trying. It just worked. There wasn't any moments to it that I thought were useless. This film gave me a better appreciation of who Grogu is and maybe what its purpose is in the story, the greater good of the story. My only criticism, and this is real, this could be like played off. Like I don't really have to say this, but I will. The character of Jabba's son did something to me that's a big Star Wars no-no. He spoke English. And that to me is a very big Star Wars universe no-no. If you are
Rada's voice.
Yeah, I think it should have been subtitled because that was a Lucas thing. I mean, Lucas always had his characters speak the language of their own language, and it was subtitled. Now I get why, because this character's a little bigger than just a few lines here and there, like Greedo, like Jabba, like the various characters that we have, are familiar with. He had a bigger role, so I think the subtitling may have gotten a little bit cumbersome, but to me it seemed a little odd. It was a little bit strange. So the scenes with him and Mando, with the dialogue back and forth and the explanations about how he grew up to be his own self and blah blah blah. I get why they might have done it, but to me that was the only part of the film that I would say, you know what, they should have just left it at subtitled, and I think it would have been fine. But like I said, I understand why they did it. But overall, if I get to the end of a film and I have a feeling that, man, I want to see this again because I want to read, I want to kind of see if I missed anything or look at the background a little bit here and there. That's how I felt at the end of this film. Like I wanted to see it again. Probably going to see it in 3D. I mean, come on, T. Mitch, Amanas. It had Amanas in it. And Dejarnik, the chess game. Come on, dude. This film had a lot of really great hype.
Heartstrings, classic stuff, nostalgic stuff is not enough to swing my
Well, then I don't know. Then I don't know in what they can give you that's going to give you any satisfaction, because this film had a lot of really great tastefully pandering moments to it that were charming, let's say.
Ken, you know what my problem is? We just talked about it. We just did this last year. It's called season 3. This is just season 3. What it should have been.
But it didn't. It, like I said, it. You don't
You're right,
need
'cause this is
to know,
better
you never
than season
needed to
3.
watch any of it to know who the. It doesn't matter. I mean, this film was the definition of a one shot.
So in your audience opinion,
Like Rogue One, just like Rogue One.
You go to the next person then. So if this was your first introduction to Star Wars, you're literally sticking by your rating of a 9. If this is somebody's first, if this is their first,
is that what you're saying this movie is? Is this a 9 to you?
I'm not giving it really a number per se.
Oh,
I'm just saying I enjoyed the film as it is. I mean, it was a good movie. It was worth my ticket. It was worth the ticket to go see. It entertained me. My family and my wife is not a huge science fiction fan at all. Like, she basically hates anything about space. And she walked out of it completely entertained, and that to me is Star Wars. It entertains. It grasps multiple genres of people in age groups. And
you know what, Ken? Sometimes I wonder. I wonder if my wife just tells me what I want to hear. When she says that she liked the movie and was entertained. She said the same thing, and then I'm like, okay.
Ken's being a politician right now. So Ken, you really can't give it a number. I mean, that's what we're here to do. Be honest, review. What's the number? Come on.
If I have to give it a number, I would give it probably an 8 to a 9. Sure. I would recommend it to anybody to go see. Anybody. Whether they like space movies or whether they like Star Wars or hate. Tell you what, if I talked to someone that hated Star Wars, I'd say, you know what, you need to see this film because this might make you like Star Wars.
Oh, no, don't do that. 8 to 9.
Stand on it, Ken.
8 to 9 is a big range. So 8 is like, so you're really saying it's an 8. Okay. 8, 9 is, come on now.
I mean, it didn't have any of the cheese that we see in sort of these spin-off, the spin-off series that we've been watching. Like it's like I said, there's every moment in the film was put together well. It's a good story. It really is a good story, and it kind of gives Mando Din Djarin a little more meat to me. Like we see a little bit more who he is and what he's trying to do, a little more of his purpose. And like I said, I kind of dig Grogu now. Like I just sort of relate a little more to him. After
we were talking about this a little bit off mic. So do you want to go next, T Mitch, or do you want to go?
No, I'm going last, bro. It's 3v1 probably. I'm taking the shots.
Do you think?
First of all, I don't know what you're not. I don't think you can say there's anything wrong with this movie. Like in the movie itself, in the lines, right? The actual play, and this is where I'm going to be a sabermetrics guy because I'm going to tell you that I think your problem is that this is not. The spot is wrong for this movie. So I think that for a lot of people, including some people on this podcast, they're a little bit wrapped up in all of that. And maybe we're not able to participate fully in the actual film. Because I found myself sitting there thinking, like, what the hell do I expect from this? Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not, this is not a religion. I'm not like, supposed to be some sort of, I'm not supposed to have like an experience like I'm on the road to Damascus here. It's a movie, and it's not a mainline Star Wars movie, very explicitly, right? No, it's not presented. It does not open as a Star Wars movie. This is a Western, and talking about the lack of character development out of the Mandalorian is the same thing as saying like, why isn't Josie Wales? What happened to the Silent Strangers, character development in Fistful of Dollars and stuff. It's the same sort of question, and I think when you really are being fair about what is the content here, And what is it? I think it is a mashup of Star Wars and a Western. I think the whole, Grogu healing Mando thing is a trope in Westerns that predates even film. I think that's just the truth. Like James Fenimore Cooper would have like a scene like that. You know what I mean? From like Last of the Mohicans or something. And I just found the action compelling. I found the characters to be compelling. I found myself thinking like, what do you want? Like you were seeing the Hutts on their home planet and what that's like. And they got these gross, like the Jabba's palace. He made it with his own spit. It seems like it's like super gross.
Gross.
I mean, I agree, Ken. I agree with your critique, by the way. I think Hutts speaking Huttese is important. And it really changes a lot about their character when they speak English. And it does make it more relatable, which I don't like because they're slugs. They're crime slugs. And I think
you don't want to relate to a slug.
No, you don't want to relate to it. I thought all of the Babu Franks were cool. I mean, I don't know. Like to me, I feel like when you look at what's on the tape, even if you're saying, hey, this can't be good because it's an extrapolation of the Mandalorian the same way a new season would be, which doesn't make any sense. I think what's going to happen is all this bullshit that is gumming us up when we think about this movie is all tied to this moment in time. That moment is very ephemeral. It's going to go away. And in 5 years, when people are watching The Mandalorian, they're just going to know, okay, after The Mandalorian season 3, we got this, right? It's like 1, 2, Book of Boba Fett, 3, this. And that's just how it is. And it's not going to play to them like something weird. It's going to be a natural continuation of that story. It's going to have a better budget. It's going to have better creatures. It has all that stuff. And it kind of sets up the next thing. And there will probably be more of this continuum. There's going to be more. I mean, it seems like there's going to be more Mando content. Like, I don't feel like this was the capstone. Certainly, if you're looking for me to find, like, what happens to Grogu after Mando dies, like that, obviously you don't see here. But what have I been asking for out of this show for years? It's you make me 10 damn episodes a year, stamp them out, put them out. I don't care if Luke Skywalker's not in every one. And that's basically what this is. So if I take it as season 4 of Mandalorian, I would be like, this was pretty good. You got a lot of the cast of the Bear in this. Martin Scorsese's in this. It
was good. Some
really great guest stars, some good scenes. And, the droid army of the Hutts stink. The droids stink. And they just get run by the Mandalorian. And yeah, there's a little bit of Force stuff in this, but not too much. It doesn't get all caught up in the questions we ask about Star Wars, like, is the Force, can everybody use the Force or can no one use the Force? This show doesn't, this didn't really give a shit about that.
It's not complicated. It didn't complicate things. Yeah.
And I think that a lot of my feelings during this that were negative were like, well, why didn't this come out 2 years ago? And why aren't they making 30 more episodes of this? Because the formula sure seems to be fine. Formula seems to be fine, and they should be able to shit out like 10 or 15 a year of these, right? Easy. So my concerns with this are like, why is this so hard for you to make $160 million with The Mandalorian every couple of years? Why is that is that such a big ask?
Overthinking.
Yeah, but once this movie starts moving, it's not hokey. It's not stupid. There's not any toilet, there's no one stepping in poop, and this movie did stuff that should have made me mad. Like that, I think I said would piss me off if it did it, including a walk in the woods, which I explicitly said would make me upset if that happened. And they were able to do it without me getting mad. Right. Like I was explicitly ready to be like, get the fuck out of this woods. Like right now, you wasted too much of my time in the woods in the Acolyte. And I didn't feel like that. I didn't. And probably should have. They probably should not have been able to do that. And they were able to. So to me, a 7.5 or an 8 is fair. And I think that, unless you're comparing it, you're shadow boxing saying it should have been something else.
I think that's a reasonable score. 7.5 and 8 that sounds reasonable.
Like I'm not sitting here telling you it's the best Star Wars movie or the best Disney content, right? Because I think it's not as good as Andor 1 or 2, right? Not as good as that. Not as good as Solo, and Solo was pretty good. And I think
it's definitely not as good as Rogue One. Rogue One, to me, that's the best. That's the best new content that I've seen the machine churn out in the past 10 years.
So it's right? It's not.
And that's a key thing, the machine, so I wasn't a big Star Wars fan about 5 years ago when we first started this project and everything, but I was intrigued by like the Clone Wars and everything. I was actually really intrigued by the Clone Wars. I never sat down and watched it until we started doing like a podcast during like the pandemic and everything. Slowly brought like Team Etch on like the as our fourth hand and everything when Tony dropped out. But I really was intrigued by the whole Empire aspect of it. So with the Luke, Vader, all that stuff that you guys are really hardcore, brought up and grown up in and everything, that wasn't really appealing to me all like that. So when I got into like the Clone Wars and seeing like, okay, this is what the Empire is, this is what the Empire does, and to see how it relates to, the society that we're in right now, and see the elements that mirror that and everything. That's what really intrigued me. So when I go into this movie, and like I said, I've had my expectations like pretty much lowered based on what I've read and known everything about this movie. When I talk about character development in Mandalorian, we've already really done that through like the series and stuff. So I wasn't really expecting any of that in this movie. But when you introduce new elements, like he's part of like the New Republic and everything, I want to know like, okay, what is his reasons in going that route? And what is his philosophy, considering that he's not really political, but what is his reasons on aligning himself with that? And the movie didn't really care on like giving me that, that explanation, which I guess I'm fine with if all I'm getting is like, good action in his relationship with his son, Grogu and all that. And we were talking off mic, Ken. I wasn't a really big fan of Grogu either, but when the best parts of this movie are the parts where Grogu's character development is further than what we got with Mando within this movie, that to me says like a ton. All you really have to me is a guy in a really cool outfit suit, doing some really great action moves. The beginning was awesome. When I hear that theme music and everything, I'm like, oh man, I'm back into this. I'm ready. I'm gone. And then you see the Baby Yoda jump on his back. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. But when we get to the point, as I was saying about Grogu, trying to get his dad together, to heal him and everything. Those were like the best parts of the movie for me and everything. The Jabba stuff, that's more or less for you guys. To me, it was like, okay, I needed to understand what this guy was saying, without having to read subtitles like the whole time. I don't think it would have jived that well. Of course, it was jarring because you're so used to seeing Jabba, in the huts and everything, speak their language and stuff. But to me, that the conceit of that is just what it is. You're in a present. You're trying to cater to like a more casual audience, which I think this movie it did. And you want to make sure everything is clear as plain as it can be. To me, this movie here is solid. It was the safest bet that they could have as far as bringing Star Wars back to the screen before Starfighter comes out next year. To me, safe is where they probably should go if they're trying to make as more money as they will. What concerns me is if they make more of this, and if they make more of this just bland, like just straight plain, just good enough to be what it is on screen, but not good enough to take any chances and everything. To me, I'm concerned if this is all we're going to get outside of Starfighter. If Starfighter does real and furthers the whole like adventures of the furthers the narrative of the universe, then I'm fine. Then you can have your one-offs like Mandalorian and everything. But I was told I was sort of told with the Ahsoka, Thrawn, and all that stuff that things were sort of start coalescing together, and I'm seeing none of that in this, and this is a big. This is supposed to be a movie. It's supposed to be like an event. We got Zeb there. I was happy to see him. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's get the Ghost Crew back together. But you tease me with that and don't put anything around that. I'm like, not even like a small like scene, towards the end or something, saying, okay, I need to get my crew back together. And I'm like, okay, I've done enough. And I don't. The movie was a 6 to me. It was it was a solid 6.
And
I can't say that it would be something I would go back to years from now saying, okay, I got to go watch this movie like I did with Solo. Solo, I've went back and said that was a much better movie than what I've sat down and watched when I first seen it in theater and everything. And maybe I might come back around to say the same thing about this, but as of right now, I can't see myself doing that. So it's a solid 6. The movie did what it needed to be done. It's a corporate movie. The corporate mandate: make a good movie. Don't take any chances with it, and get people back in the butts to see a Star Wars film for the setup for when Starfighter comes out.
Wow. Wow, DP, I'm honestly, you've taken my whole thunder. I'm kind of shocked. I mean, we might have to call the truce on the end game thing now because I didn't know this to kind of be basically 2v2. But no, I mean, look, I'm not going to say this movie is like trash. I mean, and you've kind of summarized a lot of things I said. It's a fun movie. It's an adventure. It's something to take your kids. It is. It's something to take your kids out to. They'll enjoy it. There's action. It looks good. It sounds good. To me, like it's just, and it hits us right. It's just 2 years too long. Like this should have been what season 3 was. It should have been part of season 3, but also like it's not even. I understand what Ken is saying, but my whole point is it's the time lapse in between that, and then you have this movie come out to say like, oh, this is for everybody. Well, the problem is like we're still waiting on the progression because you leave us at a cliffhanger to where we know Thrawn's coming. Like, so if you were going to, and these are factual things, if you told us you were canceling season 4 because of this event, that's what you give me. Because that's what I base this movie on. I understand that they changed it and this was going to be a one-off adventure, but the literal notes of to why they canceled season 4 was this was going to be the big event. And DP said it. So where's Thrawn X? We know Thrawn's there. You can't give us Zeb and not, hey, where's Ezra at? They're like night and day, right? No Syndulla's like you can't like tease little things like that and then make it just about 2 characters. And I know,
but that's what's nice about the film is you don't need all those extra.
But
people,
but like I
characters.
said, had we known that this was a solo adventure or just another side quest, then I'd understand what you're coming from. So, like Hit said, I kind of have like a blinder on because I just expected more based on what we've seen. Now, as a standalone movie, yeah, this is all right. It's not the worst movie. As a standalone feature film, it's okay. But from where we do and what we do, I expected like a lot more. Like, okay, Grogu's starting to grow up more and he's starting to use his abilities. Okay, but like once again, so then Jarn's like not capable. I mean, I've seen this guy take out like 20 people with a dark saber. We just found out about the Moff Gideon stuff. Like, come on, like we literally left with this complete high, and then we're back down to doing like another side quest. Like I said, I would wanted a little more stakes. Now we have a hut that's part of the gang. Like we doing the Guardians of the Galaxy now? Like, what is this with Star Wars? I mean, him and Zeb is, I don't know. It was a cool. I mean, he's a 6, so I'm a 6. I was trying to bump up 6.5, out of maybe the giddiness, but I just like I said, I expected more from what I thought because I know you guys kind of alluded to this.
I think you said you expected more. I wanted more. You
That's
know,
what, yeah,
to
yeah.
to expect something is a whole different thing than
I
a
did. Yeah,
want.
you're right. No,
You
I did
know,
want.
if
I did.
and you're coming from an expectation of basically everything I just said and everything,
Yeah,
but you already know what it is and everything. So to expect that from this movie, it's sort of like, you know, being disingenuous of the what we get on
yeah,
screen. To
you're
to
right.
to Hitch's point, you know, it's basically being in the presence of it, being in the present of the movie
Right.
is what it is. And I can appreciate if they're trying to get like more casuals and stuff to really like Star Wars and everything, then yeah, this is the movie. And with Ken on the instance and everything, Ken is all in, you know, which is fine because it's a lot of Star Wars people that are just all in. Either you're gonna like what's on Star Wars screen or not. You know, it's just what it is, you know. But for me, like I said, I didn't I wasn't a big fan from the beginning of this franchise and everything. And then I've got to be a fan of the franchise through like the talking with you guys, going through like, you know, everything with the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch, you know, the stuff that we seen, anything that had to do with Empire related stuff. And you know, I hate the Empire, you know, anything that has to do with that, you know, I'm all aboard for. So when you go outside of that and just sort of touch on that, and I love the Mandalorian series because you get a lot more Mandalorian lore, you know, with his creed, his belief system, you know, the other sets and stuff that are Mandalorian, but you know, they don't like the other sets. It was none of that in this. You know, it was just basically, you know, the child and you know, like I said, one of the best parts of the movie are the parts that are for the character, and I'm not really privy to. It says a lot for me as far as the movie, and I'm liking. I like Grogu a little bit more. You know, I'm not. I think my cynical take is that the movie is there for people for Disney to sell more toys of this Grogu character. And if that's what they want to do, I mean that then they didn't make the movie for me.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know this is a success, so they've made their money
Yeah,
back. The thing that I know Hitch brought this up as well as far as greenlighting things. So based on Tomorrow's whole new regime, the numbers basically came out, and the big thing that a lot of people are upset about is Disney Plus is not doing well at all. So the big thing they're doing now is they're cutting back on content, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, like. So this might, I mean, I'm sure Favreau and I'm going to fight tooth and nail for a season 4, but they're pretty much basically saying like all these like 2, 3 series we're getting a year, that shit's done. Like,
I don't see how they could go back to
Ahsoka.
even doing a Mandalorian series when you got this. So if this is sort of like a launch
Well,
point to have more Mandalorian movies, then this movie did its job. You cannot go back to a series after doing this movie. You
they
cannot
have
see
to
these.
though. You
Why?
can't like do because we don't like Moff Gideon stuff. There's too many things to tie off to do another hour, 80
I
minute
don't
movie.
know.
They have.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
You could put Moff Gideon in a different. Moff Gideon's dead. You know,
is
so
he? Is he?
Is anyone in Star Wars? Honestly,
I don't think he died. I think that's a clone factory. I think somehow he's still alive. I
you
don't
don't
know.
necessarily have to put him in another
I
Mandalorian.
mean,
You don't have to
but
do another season of this.
yeah,
I
here's
don't think.
what you do
Go
in
ahead, Hitch.
it's because you need more effects to tell the story than you do to tell the story you tell in the TV show. So it's more expensive per minute.
right.
Think about it like that to do the movie, and you can spend the money and you can do the effects like making the guy from the bear a hut. For some reason, you want to do that, right? That's like on your must-have list. So you can't afford to do that in season 4. So you put it here, and now you can do it. Then you go back and maybe you have a fight with like Cad Bane or someone that's like blue body paint, pretty cheap. You do that during a couple seasons of TV, and then we got another big expensive extravaganza. Maybe we'll do a movie. Like if you explain it to me like that, I can understand it. It's just like this made me think of Star Trek a lot. The production thing where it's like, okay, some of these stories we can tell pretty simply in 1967, on NBC or CBS or whatever, and like some of these stories we really can't do that. And it made me think about George Lucas going back and specialing up the original trilogy as stuff kind of became available. So I feel like you can definitely go back, especially when you think like again this movie is going to just sit there right next to all the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in a separate section of the blockbuster. You know, you don't even have to go elsewhere. It's around. It'll probably start playing now. Like I would bet in like within 90 days from now, if you watch The Mandalorian and you watch the end of season 3 of The Mandalorian, Disney Plus will play this movie 100% right at
Oh
the end.
yeah, for sure.
And that's
But don't you think this is like season 3 though still?
yes. And I don't see why
That's-
that's
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
before. And I can be angry about that. Well, angry. I could be dissatisfied with the amount of like minutes of Mandalorian content that they've made in that time, right? I can say that it should have been something different, but I don't think that like I think that matters a lot if you get a bad movie right here. If this movie is bad, like it doesn't make sense
Right.
or not fun
Well,
or
you're right. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but I don't
my
know.
reaction to all this would be very different. But we did get a good movie, which means they put together at least a good product for us.
What if it wasn't supposed to be another season of the story, but
If they're saying like if this is the end,
or a deep dive into what they're doing now? Like we know
there's
where
not-
they started. We know how Mando sort of became.
yeah,
You
but
know.
he's not. But he's not like DP said. Like there's so much content now, and you guys are right, and it's kind of like funny that we have these podcasts because it like expands in our minds, right? The problem that Disney did, and DP says this even as a writer, you expand this world way too big, way too fast, and now you try to singularize parts of it. Like you went in the Mandalorian, went in the Kreese. Where's Bo-Katan? Like you did all this stuff, and if you're like, oh, we can't do all that, then we're gonna need to get a cameo or something in this to like let us. You know what I mean? You can't make this world expand it and then try to shrink it back and be like, oh, we're only going to show a section of it if you're not going to expand on it. I mean, Ahsoka is like a whole different stratosphere. Are we going to have Din Djarin and Ahsoka? I really doubt it. So,
Well, it depends on what your intentions are. If your intentions are to gain more I guess more fans or casuals or whatever, like I said, this movie is
Right.
doing its job.
yes,
You know, you're coming in, eating some popcorn on a Memorial Day weekend, raining and everything, and going back out. Okay, I just saw a good solid movie. That's
and
it.
$39.99 on the helmet. You know that we had to get the helmet.
Yeah, and another on the AT-AT. I got that. And
Yeah.
then I got the
Oh, you did? Nice.
popcorn container. Yeah, I
Okay.
got it all. Yeah, the whole thing. So that's a good point, T Mitch. So if you go back to Return of the Jedi, let's just say we talk about the prequel and then the trilogy. End of Jedi, like that story, that all 6 of those films, that was basically it. That was the story.
Right.
There were comic books, there were books, there were novels, but there wasn't anything else that anybody was presenting on TV or at movies that was beyond that. Now we have all this more stuff and all these new characters that everyone wants to know about, and it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility for a company to continue to make things viable and make things worth it.
And we talked about this. It's it's the same problem that Marvel runs into, right? There's just sometimes there's too many cooks, like there's too many chefs in the kitchen. Like if they weren't going to expand on it, they didn't need to do all these characters. I mean, shit, I'm finding out that the other pilot was supposed to be Cara Dune, but obviously what she did, she got cut. So Cara Dune was supposed to have a major part in being in the series moving forward. Like I said, the Bo-Katan stuff, like I was kind of that was cool to me, right? Because we saw what happened to her sister. Like, so I'm getting Bo-Katan in real life, and we had this big cliffhanger of what happened. And like I said, I get this being a story about he's basically like a bounty hunter for the New Republic. It's cool. It's a good, like I said, I understand why Disney made this movie, right? They've been bleeding money, bleeding money with bad project after bad project. This is a solid win. I mean, we talked about Tron Ares, right? Didn't do well at all, bleeding money. So this is probably Disney. I would say this outside of like a lot of Disney, films for families, like Toy Story and whatnot. This is probably the first win they've had outside of a Marvel film. I'd probably say in years.
You know what the
Right?
most Disney about the film? Flamethrowers being used on stormtroopers. That was the best. I mean, that brought me back to watching Bambi for the first time. Honestly,
but I mean,
that was the
but I'm being serious. Like
Disney moment for me.
this thing's been bleeding money, so this has been big for them. For them to see they make the money back in 3 days. I mean, they're doing they're fist pumping.
I tell you one thing. Me and my wife watched the first and second seasons. I got her into like the first and second season of Mandalorian, and she didn't watch the third. And I think the third, it must have been something in those numbers that Disney seen that must have made them change direction to make them want to make this type of movie. With how the numbers went to where they didn't deem season 3 as like a success and everything. So they decided, okay, we're going to go this direction with these two characters, where these are, and they felt, like I said, this is like the most solid we can do. Let's just make a basic Western, like I begin in the beginning, started in the beginning, and keep it simple, because we don't need to add all these extended lightsaber, elements and stuff, Moff Gideon, all that stuff. All the other characters. It must have been some of those numbers within that third season that made them say, let's do it like this instead of going all expansive.
On a big screen, let's do these characters on a big screen, and I think they played better. I think it and we didn't want to talk about how good the film looked and on the music and the soundtrack, but I think this thing really played a lot better on the big screen than it does on your TV in 30-minute shots. I think it was
this movie did.
Yeah, I know.
I can agree.
I think the characters, the Mando, Grogu, all the other characters, all the rebel pilots that we saw, all the tech that we saw really fit better in this format than it did in a series. I think the Mandalorian series, although it's good, it's entertaining. I went back and watched the whole thing again before I saw the movie. I like movies. I mean, that's a personal vibe of mine. I like to go to the theater. I like that environment. I haven't seen a movie where, and I liked Tron Ares. I've watched it dozens of times at this point, and I really enjoy the film. I think it's a beautiful film. It may not have everything that everybody wants who's looking at that Tron story, but I think as a film, as a single shot, I think it's great, and I feel the same way about this Mandalorian film. It's just a well done story, and I would buy this. That's the other thing I look at. Like, would I buy this so I could watch it on my, in my home as many times as I want?
That's what Disney wants you to do. If they got you, Ken, then they just need you to 1,000 times more.
Ken, you can buy it for me, so to make sure.
You want me to buy it for you? And I'll get.
No, I'm saying make sure you buy it so you can cover for me. That's cool.
You said just represent him, Ken. Just
represent for me. Sure. I don't know.
You got any more to say, Hitch?
I don't know. I want more of this. And if we are going to put our meta hat on, it's like, why can't you just make more? Like, why can't you make more of this? Like, why did we have to bring all the rest of this bullshit into the story about, a man who wears a mask and you could recast in 5 minutes because he wears masks all the time, and an alien that literally will never grow up ever. So you can just tell the same story 1,000 times without really changing anything. And it would be normal, because basically what should happen is they should have 40 years of adventures. Mando should just croak. then Grogu should be literally exactly the same age.
Oh, okay. Should they have it as a series, or should they have it as a series of movies?
It's interesting. I've been thinking about this, DP, the last couple minutes. Is because it's like, is this a TV series that had a big movie, or is this a movie series that is condensed and you're getting a big screen experience in your house? And so I don't know. I think it's kind of both, and I think, this is a theme I think that I've talked about on this show before, is what I want is variety. And so I like these matchups, right? The noir, the political intrigue, the spy story, the bounty hunter story, the gunslinger story, / Star Wars. I like all those. So, I don't know what they do with it from here. It's obviously a property with value. If you don't have the budget for it within like your Disney TV Plus, the Disney Plus budget, then here it is. You can just do it on its own. It's viable, right?
Right.
So they want to keep making it. Maybe this is just the avenue. Is every 2-3 years we get another couple hours of Mandalorian, and that's that, and it's fine. And maybe the Disney Plus stuff gravitates more toward the animated realm. And maybe the thing that gets kicked out of here is stuff like Andor, where it's as expensive as something like this and doesn't return the same, but is,
solid.
It gives more credibility to your experience, I guess.
Oh, it's more grown up, right? I mean, that show is, it's just different in comparison to this. And so I feel like, if you're comparing those two things, this doesn't have as much to say. The whole, I'm not my father's, space crime slug. I'm a different kind of guy. I'm a ripped slug. I mean, so there's stuff that I was like, whatever on this. And then, if you change that out so I wasn't exactly that guy, exactly that character, I think the story, you could still tell the story. So I don't know. But to answer your question, I think what it proves is that Disney Plus isn't TV, much as HBO is not TV. Right. So there's something to that. But I feel like I was sitting in this movie thinking like, why isn't it bad? Like I kept expecting something stupid to happen and for me to think this is a bad movie. And really, like,
you would stand up in the middle of a dark theater and go, "Yep, see, that sucked," and walked out.
Yeah.
To all of you, boo! And then just
I even had like Ken said in our text chain. I mean, there was a couple people that actually clapped at the end of the movie and everything. So I guess it says something for those.
It wasn't in my theater. It wasn't a couple people. It was a 250 seat theater that was filled to capacity, and every person applauded. Like,
did you go to Cinemark?
No, I don't spend money there. No,
I don't either. They're for free.
That's where Nazis go to see movies. I went to a local movie theater, family run, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing.
What theater do you go to, Ken?
Phoenix.
I'm intrigued now. Oh, down in right down by the churches.
Yeah, down in Bridgeville. Yeah, it's a family-owned theater, franchise theater, and
I didn't know they were showing it there.
Yeah, and most of the people were still sitting watching the credits, and applauding, and that, I mean,
that's amazing.
Phantom Menace. I saw Phantom Menace on opening night at midnight. It was like a Thursday at midnight. It was the first show. I saw it at Waterworks in Fox Chapel. Roaring applause at the end of the film.
I didn't even see people in game, so that mean
Yeah. Hey, props to them for giving credit to all the Mandalorians or the actors that played Mandalorian, but outside of Pastor Pascal, Brendan Wayne and Lateef or whoever.
The crazy part? Pascal was only in the movie for like 15 minutes, bro. That wasn't him, like the whole movie.
Yeah, that, like I said, they gave props to all the other, characters, actors in that outfit.
One of those things that frustrates you about it, because he's not even really in it that much.
Right.
His schedule shouldn't matter. They should be able to make like dozens of these without having any problems at all. Like there's no reason whatsoever from a production standpoint that you can't just give me 50 fucking episodes
every year.
I mean, just think about it. Until like the end of season 2, like, did we even know that was Pedro Pascal? It could have been the stunt double the whole fucking time. He didn't take his helmet off till like the end of season 2, right? We don't know.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, like we don't need to worry about his schedule and what else he's doing. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, they made their money back, so that's good. Hopefully, they can find the budget to make more of this. Are we gonna obviously? Disney's not gonna. They're not going to do that.
Don't be surprised if come Tuesday or sometime this week they're going to announce the Mandalorian Grogu 2. You know, in a couple years.
Mandalorian Grogu's.
And I would absolutely go see a sequel to this if it was a part 2.
What does a sequel look like? That's what I want to know. Does it give more like another just a standoff adventure? Like
you know what? It would have to deep dive into the New Republic. It would have to go.
Well, we've been deep diving into the New Republic, Ken.
Not in the theater. Not in the theater. You haven't.
No, we really haven't. But
that's where Star Wars lives in the movie theater. That's where it was originally built. That's what it was built for.
DP, if there's anything we need to see, it's how a bunch of centrist restorationists fumbled the bag and brought tyranny back to the galaxy. If there's anything I need to see right now, it's an explanation on how that could possibly happen. Since there's no way of knowing.
Bring tyranny back to the galaxy.
Fumble the bag that bad. The tyranny comes back and everyone kind of goes, it's not that bad. You know,
let's try it again. It's been a few years. Let's give it
ideally, you would want to let this section of the universe just be what it is and concentrate on everything that happens, Starfighter onwards and stuff. I know Dave Filoni is a good storyteller, so you can't tell me that he cannot have ideas that actually further expand Star Wars. I mean, I'm tired. I guess for me, I'm just tired of Star Wars feeling like it can't move forward. You know, like outside of like, you know, Rise of Skywalker. It's really a bold thing for them to do this Starfighter movie, and for it to be like standalone is what they're trying to. They keep using the standalone thing because they're so afraid of the term homework. You know, and it's been this backlash on homework. I need to watch all this. I need to watch all this in order to understand it and understand this, which I think is sort of disservice to people who've been into this for so long that this is some things that we actually want, you know. So okay, so you have homework to do. So what and everything. We've been dedicated to watching these things for so long. Reward us for the things that we've been watching and for what we've been seeing on the future, or at least give us some sort of instance on how this thing goes. I have no idea how Star Wars looks after Rise of Skywalker. Is there like a newer Republic? Is there a newer, you know, Vader? Does it go through like the same cycle? Is it like really like human history? Does it go through cycles and stuff? Like what is this? What is it? What's going on? Like,
yeah, I think
so DP in the timeline where that is the case, and that is right where you're talking about at the end of the Rise of Skywalker. If you think about it, everything that's being done that isn't that is filling in a gap in the back, and where there is plot armor and, you know, the problems I think they ran into when they made the prequel trilogy that they didn't when they made the sequel trilogy, right? Which is why. But they fumbled the bag differently, right? In conclusion, this movie is better than The Rise of Skywalker in a lot of ways, and I would rather them make more of these than more of those, right? That's my conclusion.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy to think about, you know, these stories. But yeah, DP, you're right. I mean, I don't know what the future looks like. I mean, this isn't a Filoni project, so I won't, you know, slam this on him. Starfighter is really not his project, you know. So you're right, you know, interested to see what Ahsoka's his baby, you know. So trust me, you know, in 7 months from now, we'll have actors out for him to see if he can deliver, you know, in Ahsoka, because Ahsoka to some people is 50-50,
the pressure is on because they promised us for a Thrawn movie, you know, supposedly that was supposed to come out next year or the year after or whatever. So we'll see how that all plays into effect and everything. So I don't know.
Sure. But to know, guys, another fun conversation. And
it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too violent. I mean, you know, I think we all kind of agree it was worth the ticket. It was worth the ticket price.
Yeah.
Maybe some of us would go see it again. I want to see it in 3D. I mean, there's some scenes that I want to see that have been treated a little bit in that aspect, but you know, I don't know. I think we all agree.
I don't regret spending the money. I mean, I don't regret spending the ticket. Whether I see it again, I wouldn't take my family to go see it all over again.
I'll watch Disney Plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Disney Plus, yeah.
No, it's good, guys. It's a great conversation. But yeah, tell us in the comments what you guys think. Likes, dislikes, you know, agreeing. So, you know, that's why we're here, right? To have the debates, funds, no hard feelings, you know. We chat, and we want about our day and talk about more Star Wars content and just like you guys want. So until next time, guys, this is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.